Friday Night Live Radio here on UCY.TV. You're listening to me, Big Mouth Jim Funke. This is my radio show. It's called Boiler Room. But I do have a sidekick. His ass is over there in his chair. And his name is Lance Musser. Good evening, Lance Musser.
Good evening.
How's everything going over there on the East Coast?
You know, I was not too bad. Yeah, not too bad today, though. It was 77, maybe 79 degrees. And
you getting all this humidity yet?
No, man,
really?
I'm telling you, we're being so saved from the humidity. But we get it all year. But I'm just amazed at the amount of humidity you have already.
Oh, my God.
Compared to the amount that we have.
We skipped over spring. We went straight into summer. Temperatures are pushing 95 degrees during the day. Well, it wasn't quite like that today because it was cloudy, but humidity is just unbelievable. Mm-hmm. You know, you walk outside and turn around to walk back in, break a sweat.
I know the type, and your shirt starts sticking to you and everything.
Yeah, right off the bat, man. You know, you just feel kind of uncomfortable all day long. But you get used to it after a while. I mean, you know, you get the acclimatization. It takes about a week or two. But hell, what happened to spring? I thought we were going to get some spring.
Yeah, it was kind of non-existent. I mean, we're in our spring right now, but normally, you know, I'll give you an example. I've played in this golf tournament that I played at today. I took it easy. I mean, I rode up to my ball every time and didn't overdo myself. But I've played in this golf tournament for at least 4 or 5 years now, and we were talking about it, the guys that I always play with. We've played in, and it's always the same time every year. It's always first, second week of June. We've played in this tournament where it was 105 degrees. We've played in this tournament where it was a hailstorm coming down. We've played in this tournament where it was 75 degrees. So, man, there's no rhyme or reason to anything right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Gringo said in the chat, don't forget the skeeters. Well, we don't really have too many skeeters here yet. It's chiggers and ticks. The ticks are uneffing believable. And chiggers are too. I mean, you know, you come inside and sit down and think you're all cleaned off and everything, you know, because I do a tick check before I come in, usually. Just a quick one. And then you'll be sitting in the chair and all of a sudden you feel this little itch on the bottom of your leg and bam, there's a chigger. Or there's a little bitty tick. They got these little bitty tiny red ones, man, that are just a pain in the ass. Not the ones with the little white dot on the back, those deer ticks or whatever. But these other ones are just little tiny bastards, man. Well, the way you can get them off with a pair of tweezers.
Yeah. Well, we're known for our mosquitoes. I mean, some of them around here are big enough to carry you away almost.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, remember, that's what remember, that's what killed a lot of the bees last year, was they sprayed for the mosquitoes before the bees got into their hives for the night, and it killed a lot of the bees last fall, remember? That's what they were spraying for. Well, probably. But that's what they were spraying for, was mosquitoes.
Mm-hmm. So, speaking of bloodsuckers, let's talk about Wall Street and what the hell's going on there. Final day of the week, so they must have been cashing out.
You know, it's funny because, hold on, let me go back.
I like how I rolled into that, bloodsuckers.
The bloodsuckers. It was a perfect segue into
Wasn't it?
For sure.
Beautiful.
And let me see this here. You're not going to believe this. We are 76 points away from 17,000. The Dow being at 17,000. I mean, I remember all the exuberance when it hit 12,000, you know, first time. That's how fabricated this market is right now, with all the news that's come out. Well, let me back up on that. Payrolls pushed past their U.S. pre-recession peak for the first time in May, a milestone that's been 5 years in the making. So maybe that's the reason the stock market's going all good, is because the jobs report and everything came out today. The 217,000 advance in hiring followed a 282,000 gain in April. Figures from the Labor Department showed today.
Figures from the Federal Bureau.
Yeah, from the Labor Department. It marked the fourth consecutive month employment increased by more than 200,000. And that's the first time that's happened since early 2000.
Well, so we're all good then.
The jobless rate unexpectedly held at almost a 6-year low of 6.3%. So they should, as Scott was doing on his other one the other night. That was great, by the way. But we're seeing the continuing fabrication of numbers that whatever the government's pushing out. And we're seeing a continuation of solid payroll gains, which is an accomplishment for the economy. We're slowly moving in the direction of stronger earnings growth, which is really what we need to see for the recovery to continue. You can't even read about the job report without just kind of chuckling to yourself. You know what I mean? That they're
it would
putting
be funny
out.
if it wasn't so sad.
Well, spending, consumer spending is always one of the gauges that they use for it. So, how do people spend nowadays? Consumer borrowing. Well, borrowing in the U.S. rose more than projected in April as Americans boosted credit card use by the most since November of 2007.
They all know the dollar's going to crash. They figure, F it, let's go out and spend it.
And you remember, everybody says, okay, it crashed in the summer of 2008, but I've said from the get-go, we could point it to November of 2007 and say, that's when it happened. Mm-hmm. So you're right. I mean, everybody's seeing it's happening, and they're trying to load up on credit. The $26.8 billion surge in total credit exceeded the highest estimate in a Bloomberg survey and followed a revised $19.5 billion, with a B, gain in March. Revolving lending, which includes credit cards, jumped $8.8 billion since March. More job gains and increases in stock and home values are giving consumers the confidence to borrow after years of paying down debt. The figures underscore a pickup in spending at auto dealers, which we've talked about, and shopping mall that's helping the economy rebound from a first quarter slump. Or are people using the credit cards to pay utility bills or
other credit cards?
Yeah, or other credit cards or, something like that. I don't know that they're all going out and spending it at malls. I couldn't be convinced of that. Employers added 217,000 jobs in May. We just talked about that. So the gain in consumer credit was the biggest since the break in the Fed's series due to changes in methodology. How did I say that? Yeah. Methodology. In December of 2010. So they changed their way that they figured stuff because it wasn't going the way that they wanted, kind of like what Manarino said when they changed that number the other day. So they changed their methodology, and now they're able to, give a bigger boom to stuff. So credit card debt is up. Usage is up.
It's too bad we're not all a bunch of scumbag bankers.
Yeah, it's a shame. The stock market's just, out of this world. I was having a conversation with somebody today who's got a lot of stuff in stocks. And he said he could cash out all of his stocks today, and he would take about a $10,000 hit. And in the very next sentence said, but I think that's less than I would pay if I keep it in there and wait for it to totally collapse. So, this isn't even a guy that I have conversations about with it crashing. So he's awake enough to know that, hey, man, this stuff is overvalued. I'm trying to sell everything I can right now while I can and take the loss before I get a real big loss.
I got sucked into being a day trader back in the 90s, and I'm getting effed.
You personally?
No, that's what this cat's thinking.
Oh, hell yeah.
Because that was the big thing, Scott Trade, blah, 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 all those other ones. Day traders, come on in, check a look at our, you can just log onto our website and see whatever you want to do, penny stocks, blah, blah, blah. They all got hosed.
I saw a lot of people get in 1999 and 2000. It was that tech sector, tech bubble. Mm-hmm. And anybody who got in, it was 99, 2000, you talk about that dumb money going in, the smart money goes out. Mm-hmm. Well, anybody who went in 99, 2000 really lost their tail.
Except for the people that worked at Microsoft or in Silicon Valley, because they knew it was coming and they were like, hey, let's jump out while we're billionaires. Because all you dumbasses bought my computer.
So just the stock market, the Dow Jones, almost hitting 17,000 today. It's just
it will next week. I bet you.
That's just blowing my mind. Next week. And I didn't send you the report of the mortgage bonds, that thing that I send every morning.
Mm-hmm.
For the past 2 days, it's been, what was it, 22? Up 22 yesterday?
Yesterday when you sent
it. Opened up about 26 today. So I didn't send that one to you because I was already out. But, I mean, the stock market's up, the bond market's up, the jobs are up, the unemployment's down. I mean, this is looking pretty rosy. This is, if you got the right glasses on.
Thanks, Obama.
This is looking pretty darn good if you got the right glasses on.
The glasses smeared with shit?
The rose-colored ones, yeah.
Ain't nothing rosy about this, man. You look at all the indicators for the stock market, all of them, and it doesn't pan out. It doesn't pass the smell test.
Well, we're seeing another nail in the U.S. dollar's coffin because the renminbi is starting to displace the U.S. dollar as a trading currency in Europe and Asia.
And in America.
And I was just about to say, and in America. So
larger overseas trading companies are purchasing renminbi so that they can deal with China, because they said it's just a lot easier, man. You don't got to go through all the hassle of bullshit of, paperwork, switching currencies over and finding your conversion charts and blah, 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 blah.
The value of the
Plus, they don't want their dollars. They don't want U.S. dollars.
The value of the renminbi payments between the U.S. and the rest of the world rose by 327% in April of this year from the same month a year ago, as more U.S. corporations switched to using the Chinese currency to pay for imports from China.
Wow, man.
China, Russia, and many other countries have been waging a campaign to replace the U.S. dollar as the world's reserve currency, and this is further proof that they are getting closer to doing it, which in turn will kick off the economic collapse, as the U.S. will no longer be allowed to simply print money with nothing to back it up, or to use the reserve currency status to continue to accrue debt.
All in all, it's just another brick in the wall.
Yeah, there's a lot of Foreigner. There's a lot of old songs. Europe, The Final Countdown. There's a whole lot of songs that you can really.
They told us it was coming.
Yeah, they did.
Back when we were in high school, everybody, they told us this was coming. We just didn't pay attention because we were too effing high.
I think Europe's The Final Countdown has more to do with Nibiru and more of a celestial event. But it's amazing how many songs. It'd be curious to do a show on that one time. How many songs have so much different meaning, if you will.
We can't
once you look at the words. No, you can just talk about them. Yeah, you just talk about them.
Well, yeah, but some people might not.
Because it's the lyrics. And that's the problem. You hear these songs your whole life, and until you see the lyrics on a screen, you're like, whoa, I've been singing this whole song and just never even put the words together until I looked at them. At least that's how it is with me. Some of the songs.
Sleep, so.
Yeah, well,
What else you got over there, man? Get off
nothing.
American Top 40.
Yeah, nothing. Just, another crisis alert. I had 4 different stories that kind of all tied into China and the overthrow of us. Just
stuff you're
doing it subtle.
Stuff you're waiting for after the videos, or?
No. It was just all combined into one. I didn't keep any of the rest of them.
Okay.
It's only an hour show, so I don't want to drone on.
No, you're pretty good at that anyway, though. All righty, we'll jump over here and give Scott his 2.
Did have one.
Scott had one today. Yeah, I guess it's going to be a Monday and Friday thing for him. So we'll do a hyper report here and then jump over and listen to what Manarino had to say. I didn't listen to Manarino today, but see what he had to say.
Well, I'm sure he has something to say about it reaching almost 17,000.
Mm-hmm. Here we go, Scott.
Hello, this is Scott, and this is the Hyper Report. Here are the quotes for various items. First, negative interest. The European Central Bank has introduced a raft of measures to force people to spend their euros. This includes negative interest rates such that banks charge their victims or suckers or customers to hold their cash. If this is the case, perhaps Europeans should just spend it on food, supplies, and physical gold and silver and let the system crash. Next, missing. Chinese banks are scrambling after discovering thousands of tons of rehypothecated copper and silver are missing. This could be the straw that wakes people up to the fraud that are the gold and silver markets on a global scale. Like MF Global, are we going to hear how all this just vaporized? Next, displacing dollar. China's renminbi is rapidly displacing the US dollar as a trading currency not only in Asia and Europe, but now also in the US home market. One reason is that importers can cut costs of imports from China by using the renminbi as opposed to dollars. Next, food inflation. For the vast majority of Americans who actually go to the grocery store, food inflation rate is the inflation rate. Reluctantly, officials at the U.S. Department of Agriculture recently announced that U.S. food inflation has exploded this year. Just until May, beef field prices have already risen by 10%, which works out to an annual inflation rate of 22%. The USDA blames the California drought. However, data from the state government of California totally contradicts this. Next, dark pools. The Financial Industry Regulatory Authority has released data showing that the biggest Wall Street banks are trading their own shares to the tune of tens of millions of shares a year. Maybe it's because no one else wants their stock that may really deserve a junk rating. Next, iPhone. Each iPhone 5 contains $1.58 in gold and 36 cents in silver. Calculating the cost per ounce, the iPhone has 0.001 ounces of gold and 0.13 ounces of silver. To date, 89 million iPhone 5s have been sold. This means that nearly 90,000 and 1.2 million ounces of gold and silver respectively have been consumed. Now imagine the gold and silver in all the smartphones and electronic devices.
Ding, ding, ding.
Next, 12 reasons for using apple cider vinegar. Here are 7 without detail. 1. Improved digestion. 2. Heartburn, intestinal problems, and constipation. 3. Strengthen your immune system. 4. High blood pressure. 5. Weight loss. 6. Regulate blood pressure and aid in diabetes. 7. Skin benefits. Finally, please prepare now for the escalating economic and social unrest. Good day.
All that gold and silver in those phones. Makes you wonder.
Did you see the story? I think it was North Korean gold is showing up in a lot of our stuff. Did you catch that article?
Yeah, against the sanctions that have been in place for, I don't know, several decades.
Since the Korean conflict, if you will, so the 60s.
Right.
Just like the embargoes on Cuba, that Kennedy stocked up on Cuban cigars.
Cigarro. Yeah.
That's right. But yeah, I read that there's a ton of, maybe more than a ton, but North Korean gold showing up in our jewelry and, gold accent stuff. And so, how'd that happen?
I have no idea.
How'd that happen?
It must have got released from the Federal Reserve by mistake. It had to be a mistake. Oops. All right. Here's Greg Manrio.
He ought to be a good one today.
This is the Wells Fargo.
Oh, my God. They caught me with an ad for Wells Fargo, even one of the ass banks.
Hi, everybody. It's me, Greg Manrio. How are you today? It is Thursday. June 5th,
hey, your hair looks good, man. Must have got a new can of grease.
All right, everyone.
Thursday, that was yesterday.
What's going on here?
What? Did he really say Thursday?
Yeah.
Holy snikes. Maybe he didn't release one today, because that was the last one. Let me go up here and see.
He's too busy out celebrating, maybe?
Could be. Yeah, he might have paid off his Beamer. Oh, here we go.
Hi, everybody. It's me, Greg Manrio. How are you today? It is Friday, June 6th, 2014.
Hey, you caught up with us.
All right, people. So what's the big story? Pretty simple. We found out today that our economy added 217,000 jobs. This was right in line with estimates. We also found out that the unemployment rate, according to their metrics, is 6.3%. We also found out that we have now recovered all of the jobs that were lost during the Great Recession. Here's my question. If that's the truth here, then why is the labor force participation rate at a 35-year low?
And I bet 98 million people are scratching their heads going, what?
Doesn't make any sense to me either. You know, we know this. Everyone knows this. The numbers that they give us, the 6.3 is absolutely fake and manipulated.
Bullshit.
If you were to just look at the U6 numbers, it's over 12, it's like 12 and a half. And if you were to look at someone like John Williams from Shadow Stats, he's telling us that somewhere is around 23 or 24%.
Yeah, we've been saying 20s.
Okay, let's stop right there for just a second. We know for a fact that there are 98 million people in this country without a job that had one 8 years ago. There are 317 million people in this country. Now, taking away all the 18 and unders, those numbers don't jive.
A third of the country.
35. Probably pushing 40% unemployment in this country. I'm guessing.
Must be some of that fuzzy math Bush used to use to get to 6.3%. Maybe if you carry a couple numbers, it gets down. I'm not sure.
Just tired of these people lying, man.
It's amazing.
Actual unemployed. So really, you can't make heads or tails of what's happening here at all. And again, the equity markets continue to be more and more distorted, moving further and further away from the fundamentals that are supporting it. Very challenging. It's very, it's just crazy. That's the fact around here, people. Let me just go over a few other things real quick here. We found out just yesterday that the European Central Bank is offering negative interest rates. They're going to be charging depositors to keep their cash in the banks.
I smell a run.
This is insane. But I do believe that a similar thing is going to happen here in the United States at one particular point. I'm not really sure when. I don't think it's probably too far off, honestly.
I have to question that.
We keep hearing the same things out of the mouths of the Federal Reserve.
If they run negative interest rates in this country, I will pull my money out of the bank. I will close my accounts.
And I might have to research this real quick, because what I read yesterday was the negative interest rate dealt with the bank's money only. It didn't have anything to do with the depositors, and it was basically penalizing. It was meant to spur lending by the bank, because the bank would be penalized for keeping the money on hand. So that was supposed to spur lending, which the way I read the article, it didn't have anything to do with consumers. That negative rate only had to do with like the ECB. Yeah, like a Fed, when Wells Fargo borrows money from the Fed at 0%, that's that negative that I thought they were talking about, but I could be wrong.
We'll have to listen and find out.
Fight deflation. They got to fight deflation. How are they going to do it? They're going to go to this, negative interest rate as well. And what will that do, people? Very simply, again, it will
suck
rob
the money out of you.
Everyone, literally, and allow more speculation in this market, because that's the goal here. And you have to sit back and say, what are they trying to do? Why are they so hell-bent on hyperinflating equity markets at the expense of everyone else?
Because they want it all.
It's all
They're
because
greedy.
It's all being run by the Wall Street banks. The whole world is run by the Wall Street banks. Forget about what the central banks are doing. The central banks are a product of the Wall Street banks, and this goes for all of them, the European Central Bank included. These are the facts, people. And it's very
they're all owned by the same effing people.
And just watch the sheep be led to the slaughter. That no one raises an eyebrow over this thing. It's incredible, isn't it? You can see the dumbed down state that the people of the world have been put in by this mechanism. And it's pathetic, really is. But, as long as there are people on that side of the equation, there's going to be people on the other side. And the banks are setting this up. I have no doubt about it, and I'm sure you do too. I mean, it's just epic, what we're watching here. And the more bad economic news we get, the higher the markets are going. Again,
Go figure.
it goes back to what we saw recently with the ECB and what the Fed is going to do. The Federal Reserve, without any doubt, is going to be announcing something else very soon. The market is anticipating this. This is why we're seeing this run up here. There's no doubt about this, in my opinion. Again, are they going to taper the taper that does not exist, or are they going to announce some other type of a way to fight deflation? Something is brewing here. This beyond any shadow of a doubt, and I'm very curious to see what it's going to be. And I think we're going to hear something relatively soon. All right, with that said, people, it is Friday. That means I will not be doing another one of these videos until Monday. Please have a very happy and safe weekend, and I'll see you Monday. Take it easy.
Yeah, and happy Father's Day to all you fathers out there. It's coming up.
That's not this weekend.
No, but it's coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So, just thought I'd throw that out there. Alrighty, so that's our two videos. Going over the same shit. Everything just keeps rolling downhill. Nothing gets in the way. Nobody throws any wrenches in the works.
They are doing a wonderful job of keeping the wrenches out of the works at the moment, though. I mean, you got to admit. I mean, they're just doing a smash-up job of doing it. Yeah, because, I mean, the true experts that really called the collapse in 07 and 08
are screaming.
You know, the same ones that are screaming for the last year and a half, but they also screamed for a year and a half, because the Feds kept that one on life support as long as they could before it finally imploded on itself. I mean, you know, as I posted on my status yesterday, the U.S. news is now being completely fabricated by mainstream news sources. The U.S. has no elections, is the most corrupt country on earth at this time. Our judges are corrupt, our law enforcement is corrupt, and our government doesn't answer to the people in any way. If that's not a problem, then, or a nation in distress, what is it?
That's a nation in distress. Everyone that flies an American flag should fly it upside down from this moment forward to let everyone else know what's going on.
Yeah, and that's the hardest thing is, you know, trying to talk to people. For one, you really try to wake people up. And if you have a conversation with somebody that's really never done any research, doesn't believe 9/11, or is not even doesn't believe it, but has never investigated anything other than the official story, man, you come across pretty darn weird, kooky, trying to tell these people, man, okay, there's chemtrails, they're poisoning us here. Our government is corrupt. They have this thing called the Patriot Act, the NDAA. You know, they've got FEMA camps everywhere. I mean, 10 minutes of trying to wake somebody up, you sound like a nut job. Don't you?
Well, I mean, you only sound crazy to stupid people, right? Isn't that the way that goes?
But I mean,
Smart
I listen
people
to myself and I'm
sound like crazy people to stupid people?
To stupid people. But I mean, I'm listening to myself and I'm like, yeah, man, if I was coming out of left field and some guy walked up to me and I wasn't awake and hit me in 10 minutes with all the stuff I could hit somebody with, you know, they come across sounding pretty darn crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're up against.
I'm to the point now where I'm just going to sit back. Well, I'm not going to sit back. I'm going to keep doing my show and stuff. And I'm going to keep bitching and ranting and all the things I do. But I'm just going to let it come to me. You know, I'm going to try to live my life as peacefully as possible and try to unplug as often as possible and just because I don't think there's anything that we can do at this point. These people have all the money. They have all the power because we've given them the power over the last 100 years. And, you know, until I see a Maidan in this country, until I see, you know, a Donetsk in this country where everybody's gathered up and they're launching Molotov cocktails at the cops, and I'm not going to believe anything's going to change. It's just going to keep going downhill until it hits the bottom. You agree or not?
I'll say two things in response. You have the right to remain silent, but I don't recommend it. That's number one. And two, if you are neutral in situations of injustice, you have chosen the side of the oppressor.
Yep.
Desmond Tutu.
Well, I'm not staying silent, but I'm not going to go picking a fight. You know what I mean? I'm not going to fall into their traps because they are trying to pick a fight with this country. All the gun grabbing shit and stepping on people's property and telling you can't grow a garden and telling you can't save water and you can't plant thing. You know, it's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. You can't have this kind of pig because we don't like that kind of pig. You can't have any chickens in your backyard because you might upset your neighbors. Even if you don't have any neighbors, we're still going to come take your chickens out of your yard because we don't want you to have chickens. We, the government. We think for you.
Yeah, this would be the same we that Bank of America is getting ready to pay $32 billion in cash or something, some ridiculous amount in cash to we.
Mm-hmm. And what are we going to do with that money?
Well, we will probably buy some more bombs with it.
Some more toxic real estate.
Let's militarize a couple more police forces, or different.
Yeah. We can spend it on MRAPs.
Yeah,
because my nephew owns the company that builds the windshields for him. Right? That's the way shit goes up there on Capitol Hill.
You're absolutely right.
You know, these full body scanners, man, they radiate people and give you cancer. So what? This Congress guy over here owns the company. Send them out.
I got, when I was in the hospital last week or the week before, whenever it was, I had to get a CAT scan, and they laid me on that thing, and it shot me through the big donut. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's a big-ass electromagnet spinning revolutions around your body, making a map of the inside of your squishiness.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Electromagnetic resonance imaging, MRI.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
EMRI. And they now have an fMRI.
Yeah, in mine they call it a CAT scan, but I don't know if there's a difference.
I'm not sure.
I don't know. It's not like the old days where they came out with these big old trays and made you lay on them and then shot the radiation through you to get the X-ray.
That's an X-ray. Yeah, that only shows up hard stuff.
Exactly.
That only shows up your bones and the outside of your body.
That's gives you a nice dose of health trails, radiation stuff.
Yeah, with the MRI and the fMRI, I think fMRI is actually in motion as you're doing, as they're taking the MRI image of your body, they can have you move around, and usually you can't. I mean, if you're in a regular MRI machine, they tell you lay perfectly still, man, or you're going to screw it up. We got to do it again.
Well, yeah, it tells you hold your breath, and it counts down for how long you have to hold your breath and everything else. If not, they have to redo it.
And then you scream into the mic, I need a cigarette!
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they talk to you and stuff, Got the little microphone in there for you to talk back. And
Yeah. Yeah, they were in another room.
Oh, yeah, they don't want that radiation. They just want to pump you full of it. They don't want it. They want to have kids later. They don't care if you get, nut cancer.
Hey, man, Fukushima, that's nothing. I'm not scared of a little CAT scan or anything else after Fukushima.
Right. Give me that tuna
on the planet.
Right. All righty. I got a couple things I want to hit here. This one actually caught my attention because it's one of those first time in recorded history type things, first time in human history type things. First time ever. So, check this out, everybody. Volcano-like eruption in Himachal Pradesh. This is out of India. I should have known that. Shimla, India. Reports of a volcano-like eruption in Kangra district in Himachal Pradesh has triggered panic among the people of the area, I can imagine. Flames and hot liquid streams were seen spewing out of a hill 100 meters from Gyalda village. The village is over 200 kilometers from Shimla. after a report by the state geologist confirmed the eruption as a small magmatic activity. A team of Geological Survey of India, GSI, reached the site on Thursday. This is the first time such a volcanic activity has been witnessed in this state. Fearing that the bigger eruption could damage their agricultural land and houses, residents of around half a dozen villages in the vicinity of the eruption are anxiously awaiting the final report of GSI team. These guys are going to know everything, right? Hey, knock it off! Okay. Gases and liquids are being emitted from holes in a 10-foot area around the hill where the volcanic activity took place, said Ved Prakesh, president of Dang Panjat, whatever that is. He said the eruptions, unheard of in the area, caused panic among villagers. I can imagine.
Yeah, if it's unheard of.
Mm-hmm. It reminds me of a story. Never mind. Unmindful of the threat of more volcanic activity, the site has turned into a tourist spot with hundreds of people from surrounding areas heading there to see the phenomenon. You're geniuses. To prevent anything untoward, the district administration has decided to fence off the entire area and deploy security guards. Chief Parliamentary Security Secretary, I'm going to murder this dude's name, Jagivyan Pal, whose Sula Assembly constituency the area falls in, visited the spot on Tuesday. He said the flames and the hot liquid emanating from the hill had created a panic. Underground temperatures in the area had increased manyfold, and people say that steel electricity poles had become red hot a couple of days back. Why didn't they tell anybody? He added, sulfur-like material and black stone is flowing from the perimeter of the hill. I think this hill is actually turning into a volcano, folks. I mean, you know, I'm not a geologist or anything, but damn. Palampur SDM, never mind, said a team of geologists from said state had confirmed a small-scale magmatic activity occurring in the area. As chances of this activity escalating in coming days cannot be ruled out, a GSI team has been called to study the area and check the strata. Flames were witnessed, so possibility of reoccurrence cannot be ruled out. We are awaiting the final report from GSI team. Former state geologist, whatever his name is, said occurrences such as volcanic eruptions had been recorded for the first time in Himachal Pradesh, but the presence of magmatic substance is not new to the state. Oh, okay. He said that existence of hot sulfur springs in Makarana Kalath, okay, there's a couple of other places too, confirms that magmatic material is present underneath these springs. So I guess they do have a little volcanic activity going on there, but this is like turning into a full-blown volcano, folks. First time in recorded history in this state of India. In this particular state of India.
I'm surprised they haven't come out and said, but it's totally normal. we know it hadn't happened before, but it's just totally normal. Nothing to worry about.
This reminds me of a story that I heard, and this has been probably a couple decades ago. Okay, but this happened down in Mexico. There was a farmer down in Mexico in some, I think it was Chihuahua province or something. I'm not exactly sure, but anyway, he was out tilling his field, you know, on his tractor, and he noticed this little rise in the ground. So he kind of ran around it, you know. He didn't want to roll over the top of it when he was planting, so he just kind of planted around it. And came out the next day, and it was about 3 feet higher. He came out the next day, and it was about 6 feet higher, and this thing just kept growing and growing and growing and growing. But it just pushed a mound up until it got to about 100 feet, okay? Took almost all of this guy's property. And then it started erupting. It was like a big old zit on the earth. And then all of a sudden, when it got to a certain point and it couldn't hold the pressure back any longer, then it popped and started spewing lava and shit. And now they've got, this volcano down in Mexico is probably, 4,000, 5,000 feet. This thing just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and it took over a whole little village. Mm-hmm. So that's what this reminds me of. It just out of nowhere, right? It starts blowing lava. Okay, it's going to keep getting bigger. You watch these islands off the coast of Japan, right? All of a sudden it starts out this little, hey, there's a steam thingy coming off the water over there. Holy crap, 2 weeks later it's a mountain. That kind of shit. First time in recorded history.
But it's totally normal. So
I'm just saying.
We have a lot of first time in recorded histories. I mean, I'd like to, I was reading a story and I bookmarked it for later in case we ever want to bring it up, but just the massive amount of fish die-offs around the planet that have happened
millions
this year.
Millions.
Just this year.
Yes, in the last 6 months.
Yeah, the story that I read has just got like the last 30 or 45 days of all the massive fish kills over the planet, and it's amazing. I mean, it's amazing how many have happened in the last 30 days, and personally, I think a lot of it, maybe not a lot of it, but some of it's got to do with that, the underwater volcanoes releasing that methane gas into the water, and that's what's heating up the water and melting the ice
just
caps
straight
from
methane releases. They've got the methane hydrate down there on the bottom, the frozen methane.
Right.
Dane Wigington talks about that constantly on Geoengineering Watch.
That's been going on for a long time.
Not at the rate that it is now.
Okay, I didn't know that. But you tie it to these underwater volcanoes that a lot of them are erupting, and you're getting earthquakes and stuff from these. Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe not all of them, because some of them are happening on lakes, and it's algae blooms being blamed on them, and lack of oxygen. But the ones in the ocean, you got to think it's something else.
What about the oarfish and stuff that are just coming on shore?
Well,
I saw a couple of things on YouTube the other day about whales, small whales. I can't remember what breed they were or what specific genome they were, but they washed up on shore. They were sitting there flopping around or whatever. The people, a bunch of people ran over there and got them turned around and pushed them back out into the water and made sure that they were cool. And they walked back up onto the shore, and then they turned around and came right back out. Beach themselves again. They didn't want to be in the water. That's what I take that as. I mean, it could be some kind of magnetic anomaly that makes them swim in that certain direction for whatever reason, and they just beach themselves. But, I mean, look at all the other fish that are coming up. Look at the starfish that are melting everywhere. You got that story about the fish kills? Lance? Lance? Uh-oh. Oh, okay, he said be back 1 minute. Okay. My bad. I didn't see that. So anyway, yeah. I mean, things are dying off all over the planet. And you see a little 30-second soundbite about it on the evening news, and oh my goodness, there must have been a lack of oxygen in the water. There's just too many fish in that little particular area of water, and they all died. Starfish. Oh, it's got to be some kind of new freaky disease that we don't know anything about. Yeah, it's called radiation. It's called pollution. It's called a human cancer. That's what it's called. Seen videos on YouTube of people looking over, and I'm starting to look around my area because I live in the middle of the forest now. And they're seeing the tops of the trees are just dying off. The leaves are already starting to turn brown. And it's only June. Massive crop die-offs and stuff. Hailstorms, freak hailstorms. Just freak storms in general. The wind and rain and stuff that come through here day before yesterday. Oh, my God, man. It was like a hurricane going by my house. I couldn't even see my driveway.
Speaking of the freak hailstorms, if you remember, what is it, UK today was supposed to get, or this weekend was supposed to get hammered with the most severe hailstorm that they've had in a century or something like that.
Yeah.
Freakish weather.
Look at what happened in Nebraska just a couple days ago. Hailstones the size of baseballs, man. Beat up like 40,000 cars or something through Oklahoma City or Ponca City or something. Just crazy shit, man. I saw pictures of the whole sides of people's houses, all of the insulation and siding was just ripped off the house from this hail. No windows left in it, nothing. I mean, just massive destruction. Now, look, I've been alive for 45 years, 46 in July. I don't ever remember seeing news reports like that in my lifetime. And I've been paying attention to the weather for more than half my life because I've wanted to be a tornado chaser for a long, long, long time. I've never seen that kind of destruction unless it was a tornado, not hailstones like that. This one cat just reached out of his car and picked up a handful of stones. I mean, it took 3 of them filled up his hand. They were just huge. They were baseball size. Easy. That shit'll kill you. That shit'll kill you. You got that story of that fish die-off, man?
Yeah.
Read that for you. We still got 15 minutes. Go ahead and read that.
And this is from...
Sorry. I didn't mean to catch you off guard. You got it there?
No, you didn't. Yeah, I got it right here. Massive fish. This is from June 3rd, so it was from, 3 days ago?
3 days ago, yeah.
Millions of fish are suddenly dying all over the planet. In fact, there have been dozens of mass fish death events reported in the past month alone. So why is this happening? Why are fish dying in unprecedented numbers all over the world? When more than 6 tons of fish died in Marina del Rey over the weekend, so that would have been Memorial Day weekend, it made headlines all over the United States. But the truth is that what just happened off the Southern California coast is just the tip of the iceberg.
6 tons of fish.
Yeah. In 2014, that's this year, mass fish die-offs have pretty much become a daily event globally. Individually, each event could perhaps be dismissed as an anomaly, but as you'll see below, when they're all put together into one list, it is truly rather stunning. So, is there a reason why so many fish are dying? Is there something? Go ahead.
Got to make sure you drop this link in the chat.
I will.
Okay.
Because every number that I'm getting ready to say, there's actually a link to the original story, whether it was a local website or what, but somebody's compiled them all together.
Mm-hmm.
The following are just a few examples of the mass fish deaths reported that have been coming in day after day from all over the globe. In April, 500,000 carp were found floating belly up in Kentucky's Cumberland River. Over the weekend, thousands upon thousands of fish died just off the Southern California coastline. We just heard about that one.
Mm-hmm.
So far, officials have cleaned up 6 tons of dead fish, and they still have a long way to go. The death of approximately 35,000 fish up in Minnesota is being blamed on a lack of oxygen. The recent die-off of thousands of fish in the Shark River near Belmar, New Jersey, is also being blamed on oxygen depletion. Officials in Menifee, California, are still trying to figure out what caused the death of thousands of fish in Menifee Lake a few weeks ago. They continue testing the water, but so far they haven't noticed anything irregular.
Other than higher than normal concentrations of aluminum, barium, and strontium?
In dead fish.
Sorry.
In the Gulf of Mexico, dolphins and sea turtles are dying in record numbers. Maryland officials are still puzzled by the death.
Did you say Gulf of Mexico?
Yeah, well, and that's not puzzling.
Correct.
That's oil. The stuff the cleanup stuff.
Yeah.
Maryland officials are still puzzled by the death of 7,000 menhaden last month. Mass fish die-offs in Lake Champlain up in Vermont are being called the new normal by government officials. And all these have links to each one of them. Along the coast of Northern California, seals and young sea lions are dying in record numbers. There was also a story yesterday. Well, there was a story yesterday about the sea stars in Oregon, how there's going to be a complete species extermination or extinction because of certain.
No, it's extermination, brother.
Well, that's true. The following are some major examples of mass fish die-offs from just the past several weeks that come from a list compiled on other websites. 17th of May, masses of fish turn up dead in a marina in Pulteneyville, New York, America, and there's a link. 16th of May, mass fish die-off in the river of Aragonasoda, Armenia. 15th of May, hundreds of fish dying off due to pollution in the wetlands of India. Thousands of fish dead washed ashore in Hamilton, Canada on the 13th of May. Tens of thousands of dead fish wash up along the coast of Tasmania, Australia on the 13th of May. And there are about 20. There's 20 of them in April and May alone. 12 tons of dead fish removed from lakes in Minnesota on the 8th of May.
12 tons.
Yes. Massive die-off of fish in reservoirs in Guangzhou, China, which doesn't surprise me.
Pollution.
Mass death of fish found in lakes in Denmark. Another one in China. 1,000 dead fish wash ashore along a lake in Ontario, Canada on the 3rd of May. 40,000 fish die suddenly in a dam down in Brazil. Mass fish kill worst I've seen in 26 years here in Iowa. That was a quote from somebody that was there. Thousands of dead fish wash up along the shores of Lake Wisconsin. Turtles and other marine life continue to wash up dead in Bari, Italy. Another one in Brazil, China, Panama, Tehran. 2 million fish found dead in a dam in Tehran. Another one in Canada, another one in China, another one in Ireland, another one in India, and one in Sri Lanka.
Now, look, people, I just want to throw something out there. All these masses of dead fish, you have to think to yourself also, the other fish that are still alive out there swimming around in the water, the hungry ones, didn't eat any of these fish. So, just keep that in the back of your mind, too. They didn't want to eat them.
I just dropped the link in the chat. So, and if for all those ones that I just named and the 15 or so that I didn't name, at the end of each date is a link to the local press story where this was originally reported. Like I said, they just compiled it here. Earth We Are One is the website that I just posted from.
And we've been watching these reports. I know I've been watching these reports since I went on the air.
Yeah, it's been over a year since we've been watching them.
It's okay, people. Don't worry about it. Take the blue pill.
It's funny because who was it? I think it was Huffington Post, actually, had a rebuttal story, and I wish I would have saved that one. But they had a rebuttal story to this, and they were saying, look, nothing to be concerned about. This happens all the time. But the problem is that people are more aware. They're more connected. They have the ability to take pictures and post it, and it goes viral. So we're all hearing about more of them happening at the same time. But the Huffington Post is saying that there are no more mass die-offs than there normally are. We're just better informed.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say, bullshit to that. That's all I have to say. It sounds like Huffington Post is doing their job, just like MSNBC and Rachel Madcow.
You do not like her, do you?
Oh, man, I hate that girl. And, I was an MSNBC fan when Keith Olbermann was on there. I like Ed. I like that Dylan Radigan guy. He's a good guy. But, they've got some tools in there. That Sharpton guy, Rachel Madcow. They've got some propaganda arms in there.
Are you talking about rear end Al Sharpton?
Yeah, rear end Al Sharpton. Those people are
him
just
and the
paid
rear end
shills.
Jesse Jackass.
Yeah, just to try to, keep the sheeple. And that's all those people, that's their
Fighting
job.
against each other so that you're not paying attention to what everybody else is doing.
The
right
left-right
left.
paradigm,
Yeah.
they're the right on there, they're just doing this, and this is what we... No, wake the hell up. Let's start talking about the truth. And
absolutely.
On the golf course today, we got talking about politics. And, I've always been pretty, left, leaning to the left in the past.
Yes.
And they were like, They're like, don't even bring up politics with him anymore. He ain't left or right. He's straight. And I said, damn right.
I'm not left and I'm not right. I'm awake.
That's exactly what I said. I was on the tee box when they were talking about it. And I said, damn right. I'm not voting for any one of them bitches again. I said, because I'm not left. I'm not right. I'm awake. And then I nailed that ball and smacked it about 260 yards down the middle of the fairway, thinking it was a politician.
Nice. Very nice.
But they were like, look, don't even get him started on politics now.
No. The only thing that I want to talk about politics is the elimination of it by whatever means necessary. Vote them out, ignore them, defund them, whatever you got to do. Whatever tool works. Open the drawer, grab the tool, and go to work. They serve no purpose. Go ahead.
But here's the problem, Jimmy. I love your idea, but the people that are fighting, let's say the Tea Partiers, they're fighting to overthrow a government and then put a new one in its place. And I'll never advocate for violence for overthrowing a government to put another one in its place. No, that's the problem. I
want anarchy. You know that. I don't want another government. I want anarchy. We've been under government since recorded history started, okay? Yeah. It's not working. It's not working. All it's doing is making rich people richer. It's killing poor people, and it's taxing everybody else to death.
More people are calling for impeachment, especially over this.
You cannot. Okay, listen, people, listen. This is the third time I've said this on the air now. It is law. It is law. You cannot impeach the president if the country is in a state of emergency, a declared state of emergency.
We're not yet.
Yes, we are. This country has been in a declared state of emergency
since
September 2nd, 2001. Every January, it goes up for a vote before Congress, and every January, they reinstate it.
September 12th, 2001, I believe, is when it...
That's when they declared war.
Yeah.
That's not when they declared a state of emergency. The state of emergency happened within 24 hours of the planes hitting the towers or whatever the hell happened.
Right.
I still think it was planes that hit the towers. They weren't full of people, but there was planes that hit the towers.
Which is why I've said from the get-go that Obama will pull a third term, because if you declare martial law, all
that's not a declared state of emergency now. That's different.
I know, but
the only way that he can roll the third term is if he declares a state of martial law.
It's coming. I mean, we know that point of it's coming at some point. And that's why I think you just don't hear anything about elections because they know what's going to happen already.
Yeah. Otherwise, the midtermers would be filling up the airwaves, man.
Hillary Rom. Is that what the ticket is? Hillary Rom? That's right.
God damn, shut up. Don't give me any ideas, man. Love, peace, and happiness, everybody. Enjoy your weekend. We'll see you tomorrow night for After the Last Cup.
Go get $10 of canned goods.
Yeah, get your canned goods. Go out and hug your kids. Kiss your pets. Smack your wife on the ass. Smack your husband on the ass. Show some love to everybody that you meet. Smile more.
Love, happy.
Whole lot of Mumford. Stay tuned. We got a rerun next of Turboville. Levon's on tonight. Stay tuned for that. I got to go drop her the phones. Peace, people.